Tagal ng record. Okay, for this meeting, no, tulad ng sabi ko, we are going to discuss formal organizations. So before I introduce to you conceptually, ano ba yung formal organizations, tignan muna natin if you can list as many formal organization as you can. Sige, I'm giving you 3 minutes habang kumukuha ko ng order namin sa Food Panda. No? You list as many organization as you can. Start now. Hello? Nasa labas na po kayo? Sige, stop listing. Okay, ganito yung gagawin natin. So I want you to tell yung mga nalista ninyong formal organization. Then later on, titignan natin kung yung mga na-identify nyong formal organization is really a formal organization. Hindi kasi lahat ng organization masasabi natin formal. Some organization are said to be informal. No, tignan natin if all the organization that you are able to list are considered as formal organizations. Sige, Cheska, what are the organizations that you are able to list?
Um, World Health Organization po,
Okay, World Health Organization.
Department of Health,
Okay.
Department of Foreign Affairs,
Mm-mm.
Philippine Animal Welfare Society,
Mm-mm.
Red
How?
Cross,
Red Cross, okay. Yun
and
lang na?
Apo.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Abby.
Sir, Our Lady of the Sacred Heart School.
Okay.
As mga party list, sir. I'm not familiar
Mm-mm.
kasi. Pero yung mga party lists.
Party lists.
Yun lang, sir.
Okay, yun lang. Baste. Baste. Wait lang ha.
Hello po, Sir Will. Hello po.
Okay, sorry for that, no. Dumating kasi yung Food Panda. May bagyo ba kila Sebastian? May bumubulong ba? Sige, Baste. Anong
Ano
ulam
po, sir?
ko? Manok. Manok, syempre. Ganun talaga, di ba? Pag nagmamadali, hindi ka nakakapagluto. So anyways, no, mamaya natin pag-usapan ang mga ulam. Baste,
Ano po,
what
sir?
are the formal
Mga
organizations that you are able to list?
BSP po. Ah,
Okay, BSP,
LTO po. Tsaka
LTO,
ah,
ano pa na?
Red Cross po.
Red Cross, okay. Joey, what are the organizations that you are able to list?
Sir, ano po, sa school po, Trinity University, tapos
Tuwa,
Raja Travels,
Regio
tas
Travels,
St. Luke's Medical Hospital,
okay, St. Luke's Medical Hospital,
Banco de Oro, tsaka po United
BDO.
Nations po.
Okay, UN. Okay, thank you, Nak. Asi, what are the organizations that you are able to list?
Ano sir, samahan ng mga single parent. Kaya lang sir.
Samahan ng mga single parents.
Ano sir,
SSP.
ano sir,
pa na?
LTFRB, ganun sir.
LTFRB, okay. So meron pa. So tignan natin no kung yung mga binanggit ninyo is considered as a formal organization. So in order for us to understand formal organization, I think we need first to define what is formal organization. So pag sinabi nating formal organization, these are actually groups that are organized to achieve one or more long-term goals effectively or efficiently. So technically, pag sinabi nating formal organization, it is any group, no? Again, it is any group that are organized so that you can achieve some kind of goals, no? Or some kind of goal or some kind of goals, no? Effectively. So that is formal organization. In order for us to totally understand ano ba yung formal organization, aside from alam natin na ito ay isang grupo na merong goal, no? Merong goal class na kailangan i-achieve effectively, we must look at formal organizations and its different types so that mas maintindihan natin siya ng lubusan. So if you're speaking of formal organization, meron tayong tatlong klase ng formal organization. Meron tayong tatawag class na normative organization, yung coercive organization, and yung utilitarian organization. Unahin ko klase tatawag natin utilitarian organization because this is more common to us. Mas common to among all kinds of organization and most of us are part of a utilitarian organization. Pag sinabi natin utilitarian organization, voluntary, again, voluntary yung membership natin in these groups or in this organization where class we join this organization for some kind of material reward. So meaning nag-e-expect tayo ng mga services coming from those organizations that will be given to us. And the same from us, mag-expect yung organization na yon ng service na manggagaling sa atin papunta sa kanila. So yun yung tinatawag natin utilitarian organizations. No? Again, when we are speaking of utilitarian organizations, these are group or these are formal organizations class in which class in these organizations there is a material reward to be expected class between the members and the organization itself and exchange of material rewards yung nangyayari. So to make it short, may service na mare-receive tayo from that organization at tayo rin may service tayong ibibigay sa organization na yan. On the other hand, tignan naman natin normative, no? Pag sinabi nating normative organization, ito yung mga organization kung saan voluntary rin, it is also a voluntary membership, no, yung organization na to. At dito sa mga normative organization class, meron tayong common interest or may common goal tayo for joining this kind of organization. So meaning, class, we see that the activities in this kind of organization as something very worthwhile to us. Something that is very worthwhile. Kaya nga tinatawag siya na voluntary associations, meaning you are joining this kind of organizations voluntarily kasi you are looking at its activity as something worthwhile, as something na meron tayong advocacy, no? We have some kind of advocacy that we can be part of, no? We can be part of that is common within these organizations. So technically, yun yung tatawag nating normative organization. Again, pag sinabi natin normative organization, these are organization in which class meron tayong pursuit of common interest or meron tayong tinatawag na pursuit for common good. Kaya siya tinatawag na voluntary association. Thus, the activities done here in this kind of organizations are considered something that is worthwhile to us. So meron tayong nagigain dito which is prestige in our case, and also nakakagain tayo class ng what do we call this? Nakakagain tayo ng reward in a sense that we feel rewarded kasi we are seeing that the activities done in this kind of organization as something very worthwhile. Meron din tayo class sa tawag na coercive organization. And yung coercive organization, ito yung mga organization na hindi voluntary yung membership. So the membership in this kind of organizations are not voluntary. So meaning coerced yung membership natin. And example nito will be prisons, boot camps, and mental institution. Diba sa mga organization na yun, hindi naman voluntary yung membership. But there is some, there is coercion class in terms of membership in those kind of organization. So it's either a punishment for something that we do or a consequence of something, no? It's a consequence of something coming from us. For a while, let me charge my laptop. Okay, sige nga, try natin identify anong klase ng organization to. Is it normative or utilitarian? Ito, Red Cross. Abigail, what is Red Cross? Is it normative or utilitarian organization? Sorry for the spelling.
Normative, sir.
Bakit siya normative?
Because voluntary po siya. Voluntary.
Pero both kasi normative and utilitarian organizations are voluntary yung membership natin. Pero bakit siya normative? You're actually correct. This is an example of a normative organization, yung Red Cross. Paano mo nasabing normative?
Because, sir, meron silang advocacy na voluntary nilang pinapursue.
Okay, there is a pursuit of some kind of common good, no? Meron tayong advocacy na pinapursue in Red Cross. That's why it's considered as a normative organization. Now, what about school, Francesca? Normative or utilitarian?
Utilitarian po.
Utilitarian, that's correct. Why?
Kasi po, may exchange po ng services.
Okay, very good. There is
Opo.
an exchange of services. The teachers, no, provides you learning. Samantalang kayo, you provide feedback from learning. So those are the services or the service exchange between teachers and learners in school. That's why it's considered as a utilitarian organization. Tatanan ninyo yung mga organization, it evolves, no? And it evolved over time. So nag-undergo din sila ng modernization. Now, in order to look at organization in the lens of modernization, let's define first ano ba yung modernization. Pag pinag-uusapan natin class is modernization, technically it's a change in worldview. So nagkakaroon tayo ng modernization due to a change in worldview. And as of now, what happened to us is that nagkaroon tayo ng change from traditional to rational worldview. We have a change from traditional to rational worldview. So ano bang pagkakaiba? So sa traditional worldview, it's actually a view in which we consider all material and non-material things are set right at the beginning. So sa simula pa lang ng creation ng society, lahat ng bagay about the society, lahat ng processes about society, it's something that is set to be correct. It is something that is right. Everything is in the right way. So yun yung tatawag nating traditional worldview. Now, on the other hand, ang rational worldview, this is a kind of view where we try to find efficient way in accomplishing things. So meaning, tinatry natin i-develop yung mga processes, no? Yung mga processes to be as efficient as possible through critical thinking and calculation. So meron tayong development ng processes to an efficient process. That is rational worldview. And pag sinabi natin modernization, nagkakaroon tayo ng shift or nagkakaroon tayo ng transition from a view that is traditional to a view that is rational. And because of modernization, we are able to form what we call class as bureaucracy. nakabuo tayo ng tinatawag nating bureaucracy. So this is actually part of the evolution of formal organization. So dati yung mga formal organization natin, may traditional worldview sila. But over time, as nagiging modernized yung society natin, nag-shift tayo to rational view. Thus yung mga formal organizations then, or some organizations shifted to a rational view or rational thinking, and because of it, nag-develop ibang formal organizations to what we call as bureaucracy. Yung tinatawag natin bureaucracy. Now, ano ba tong bureaucracy? Pag sinabi natin bureaucracy, these are actually formal organization based on rationality and efficiency. So it is actually based class on rationality in a way class na sa mga bureaucratic organization natin, rationally constructed yung mga processes. When you say rationally constructed, meaning lahat ng processes was designed to be efficient. All the processes in a bureaucratic organization is designed to be efficient as possible. Now, in order to understand bureaucracy, we need to understand the tenets of bureaucracy ni Max Weber, no? So actually yung bureaucracy ni Max Weber, it's based on rationalization, kung saan here in rationalization, no, we are trying to rationalize all the processes to be as efficient as possible. And in order for that to happen, sabi niya, yung mga organization dapat magkaroon siya ng 6 defining characteristics. So these are the 6 defining characteristics of a bureaucratic organization. Una, meron tayong tatawag na division of labor, or simply merong specialization ng roles amongst all the members in an organization. So meaning, para raw maging efficient ang isang organization, each member of an organization must have a role, no? Must have specialization of role. Bawat isang member ng organization meron siyang role. So the work will be divided among the specialists in various positions, expecting them to complete a specific task. No, so that's the first characteristics. The second characteristic is meron tayong hierarchical organization or merong structure yung ating mga bureaucratic organization. So meron tayong tatawag na hierarchical organization kung saan may ranking of authority. So merong mga members na higher yung strata over the other. So there is a structural organization amongst members of bureaucratic organization. So yung third one, there must be technical competence amongst all member of the bureaucratic organization. Ibig sabihin nito, bawat employee, no, or bawat member ng organization, meron dapat silang technical competence to perform their task properly. And in order to achieve that technical competence, pwedeng they will become member of the bureaucratic organization by testing, by looking at the educational backgrounds, yung mga previous experiences, and in terms of government, for example, by voting, by democratic choices, di ba, ng mga members. So by voting, no, we are able to elect our officials, and that is an example of selecting a member by technical competence. So nakita, yun yung first 3 characteristic. Ulitin ko, there must be some kind of specialization among all members of the formal organization or bureaucratic organization. Second characteristic, there must be some kind of hierarchical organization. And third one, there must be technical competence in members. And meron tayong process of selection of members based on technical competence. Fourth one, meron tayong rules and regulations to follow. There must be some kind of rules and regulation class that serves as a framework in this bureaucratic organization. And dahil may rules and regulation, all the tasks that is being done in the organization must be impersonal as much as possible. Makikita nyo kasi na sometimes nagfe-fail yung bureaucracy kasi nagiging personal yung judgment sa mga tasks. Pero as a bureaucratic organization, you must be impersonal as much as possible to do things efficiently. Kasi if you are not impersonal, mangyayari, there might be a failure of bureaucracy. And of course, meron tayong mga specific lines of promotions and advancement. Meron ding mobility amongst the organization. So let me show you this one. So this is an example of a bureaucratic organization. Yung mga schools natin, that's an example of a bureaucratic organization. Ayan. So if you would observe, meron tayong hierarchical organization and bawat member diyan sa sa hierarchy na 'yan, no, bawat member meron silang mga specific roles, no? And also if you would see they are abided by rules and regulations, and of course bago sila ma-hire sa school, there must be some kind of technical competence within these members of this organization. And yun nga, as much as possible, in order for the members of the school to do their task properly, they must be impersonal as much as possible. So makikita natin sa school yung mga characteristics ng bureaucratic organization. Thus, schools are considered also as bureaucratic organization or bureaucracies. No? So now anyways, no, bakit effective yung bureaucracies, no? They are effective because they are able to coordinate large number of people, define tasks and reward system, and also provide stability amongst all the members of organization. Yun nga lang, sometimes may mga setbacks, no? Within the bureaucracy itself, may mga setbacks, and we are going to look at those setbacks such as red tapes, oligarchies, bureaucratic ritualism, meron din tayong tatawag na bureaucratic inertia. So those are the different setbacks na pwedeng mangyari in your bureaucracies. So, tatandaan ninyo, in a bureaucracy, there is always power and authority. And I think you have studied this in your PPG. So, tatandaan ninyo, when we are speaking of power, it's the ability to control the behavior of others against their will. Yun yung tatawag natin power. Pag sinabi natin authority, it's the exercise of legitimate power, no? Power that derives from a recognized or approved source. Kunyari, na talaga kayo as leader of an organization, you have the authority to execute your power or your legitimate power. Ito yung tawag natin. And yun nga, pag sinabi natin power, yun yung ability nyo to control other people or the behavior of other people even though it is against their will. And we would expect that in bureaucracies, meron tayong mga people sa taas ng structure, and because of that, they have power and they have authority. So another thing that you take note of bureaucracy, meron silang mga rules and procedure. There's some kind of operations, and usually these operations are written in some kind of records. Lahat ng operations and activities are written class in some kind of a document. So there is a written communication within the bureaucracies na tatawag. And of course, lahat ng tao, class in a bureaucracy, no, or in bureaucratic organization, meron silang technical competence, and they can be promoted they can be promoted by merits, no. Meron tayong meritocracy na tinatawag. And alam naman natin kung ano yung meritocracy, it is the advancement due to the merits you earn class during your stay in your organizations. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na bureaucracy. Now, tulad nga ng sabi ko, sometimes nagkakaroon tayo ng problems within bureaucracy. So, unahin natin yung red tape na tinatawag. So, sometimes, diba, one of the defining characteristic ng bureaucracy is the presence of rules. Merong rules yung mga bureaucratic organization natin. But sometimes, yung mga rules sa bureaucratic organization, pwede nga ma-delimit yung bureaucracy itself. It can delimit the organization to reach its own goal. At pag nangyari yun, nagkakaroon tayo na tatawag na red tape. Red tape happens due to the practice of what we call class as bureaucratic ritualism. Meron tayong tatawag class sa bureaucratic ritualism, and when we say bureaucratic ritualism, it is a practice class kung saan stern tayo or rigid nating sinusunod yung rules. And because rigid nating sinusunod yung rules, sometimes some of the rules can hinder the achievement of some kind of goal. And because of that, nagkakaroon tayo ng failure in terms of bureaucracy. Remember, at the end of the day, bureaucracies are formal organization. And what we want from formal organization is to reach its goals and objectives. Yun naman yung purpose ng mga formal organization. But sometimes with bureaucracies, because they are bounded with rules and regulations, and sometimes pag very stern or rigid yung pagsunod ng rules and regulation, hindi natin na-achieve yung goals natin. So nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na red tape. No, so I would share an example to you based on my experience, dati kasi class, I would not tell any names napakahigpit ng security sa school. So what happened is that, sige, as a school, syempre, one of your goal is that you wanted harmonious relationship amongst all the members in the school community, and of course, kasama na doon yung mga customers ng school. So nangyari, class, sa sobrang higpit ng security, sa sobrang pagsunod nila sa rules and regulations set ng school, nangyari, the students wanted to practice inside the school, no? Pero kasi, ang rule kasi is that dapat merong waiver yata or letter in order for them to enter the school. So nangyari, even with the parents outside the school, hindi sila pinapasok, which is something that is considered na napaka-stern ng pagsunod sa rule. Kasi isipin nyo, andyan na nga yung magulang na gagawa ng waiver or ng letter, bakit hindi pa rin pinapapasok yung student? So sa meaning class, the rule itself is delimiting the achievement of some goal between the members of the society or within the community or within the organization itself. And kung nagiging delimiting na yung mga rules and regulation, due to some kind of bureaucratic ritualism, so pwede siyang mag-lead sa tinatawag natin na red tape. So pag narinig niyo yung red tape, meaning, sobrang rigid ng pagsunod sa mga rules and regulation. To the point na you are not achieving the goals that you set for your organization. That's what you call as red tape. Okay, any question before I proceed to the next problems on bureaucracy? May tanong?
None na po, sir.
Maliwanag naman. Okay. Now, let's go to the second problem with bureaucratic organization. Yung tatawag natin bureaucratic inertia. So sometimes naman, meron tayong mga shifting ng goals, no? Nagkakaroon tayo ng shifting of goals. And pag nagkaroon ng shifting ng goal, yung bureaucracy natin, nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag natin bureaucratic inertia. One of the common reason bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng shift ng goal is that we wanted to maintain, to maintain the status of the bureaucracy or formal organization, or gusto nating wag maging extinct yung isang organization. And because we don't want our organization to disappear, nagkakaroon tayo ng intentional choice class to shift our goal at tinatawag yun na bureaucratic inertia. So sometimes rin yung mga members, they feel like the organization must stay kasi it's doing or performing its job for the common good, and because of that, ang ginagawa ng ibang organization, they are trying to shift their goal or nagkakaroon tayo ng bureaucratic inertia for the organization to stay, and not to disappear class within the society. So tawag doon is bureaucratic inertia. Now, we also have what we call as the problem of oligarchy. So dito naman, kung kanina yung red tape natin is a problem that arises from the rules and regulation, dito naman ang oligarchy, this is a problem that will arise from the hierarchical structure of bureaucracy itself. So we can quote oligarchy as the rule of the many of the few. Kasi pag sinabi natin oligarchy, there are group of people that are considered to be the one that is controlling the certain group or the certain bureaucracy or certain formal organization. So technically, people at the top are trying to make the decision for everyone else. Yun yung tinatawag nating oligarchy. So I think it's clear naman sa inyo, you have discussed rin also this in your PPG class, if I'm not mistaken, and sa mga previous subjects ninyo kung ano yung oligarchy. Pero one thing is for sure, that in oligarchy, there are a group of people that is trying to control everyone else in a formal organization. So tawag doon is oligarchy. Now, the thing is, meron tayong tatawag na iron law of oligarchy. So according to Robert Michaels, this is according to Robert Michaels, no matter how democratic an organization, in theory, it is always oligarchic in practice. So sabi ni Robert Michaels, kahit raw gaano ka-democratic ang isang formal organization, in theory, pag practice siya, lagi siyang oligarchic. Bakit daw lagi siyang oligarchic in practice? It's always oligarchic in practice. It's due to the fact na yung structure itself the structure of bureaucracy itself allows it to become oligarchic. So may problema talaga, may problema sa structural system yung ating bureaucracy kasi yung structure ng bureaucracy itself, it will allow oligarchy no matter what happened. It is always allowing oligarchy to exist in the organization. So it is always the case where the people in power or people in the top are always insulated. No, they are always insulated, and because they are always insulated, no, at the end of the day, they will exhibit oligarchic behavior. So yung tatawag nating iron law of oligarchy. So in short class, what does iron law of oligarchy mean? So it just means that power increasingly tends to become more and more concentrated in the hands of the fewer members or of an organization. So at the end of the day, no, kung sinong nasa taas, no, the power is more concentrated to them because they are insulated from the rest of the members of the formal organization. Thus, the power is insulated to them. So it's becoming more and more concentrated in the hands of the fewer members of your organization. Yun nga, tulad ng sabi ko, no matter how democratic the organization will be in terms of theory, it will be always oligarchic in terms of practice. And yun yung flaw sa structural system natin. Now, so these are actually 3 organizational factors that would encourage oligarchy. First, the organization needs a hierarchy of authority to delegate decision-making. Tulad ng sabi ko, this is the failure in structure. Dahil nga yung bureaucracy, meron tayong hierarchy, thus, mako-concentrate yung power at the top. The advantages held by those at the top allow them to consolidate their powers. Meron silang authority, remember. And because they have their authority, they can actually consolidate their power. And last, other members of the organization tend to defer to leaders. So those are the 3 driving forces bakit magkakaroon ng oligarchy. At laging oligarchic in practice yung ating bureaucracy. So that is another problem in terms of bureaucratic organizations. Now, fourth problem is yung tinatawag nating bureaucratic alienation. So pag sinabi nating bureaucratic alienation class, di ba remember, kaya tayo may bureaucracy kasi we wanted to rationalize the process. No? We wanted to make the process in the organization as efficient as possible. Meron tayong gusto nating magkaroon ng machine-like efficiency. But in reality, at the end of the day, lahat ng member ng organization is still human. Human pa rin ang member ng organization. And because human pa rin ang member ng organization, they cannot achieve this machine-like efficiency. Nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na dehumanization of bureaucracy, which hinders it to achieve this machine-like efficiency. At bakit ganun nangyayari? Bakit hindi na i-achieve yung machine-like efficiency? Hindi na-achieve yung machine-like efficiency kasi class, as human, meron tayong human rationality. Sometimes yung judgment natin, it is clouded by your personal judgments. And because your judgment is clouded by your personal judgments or ng human rationality na tinatawag natin, sometimes it hinders us to achieve the efficiency na gusto natin out of our bureaucracy. So nangyayari, nagkakaroon tayo ng dehumanization ng bureaucracy or tinatawag natin bureaucratic alienation. And the last problem that we need to consider is the irrationality of rationality na tinatawag. Meron tayong tinatawag na irrationality of rationality. Sometimes, rational systems are considered also as unreasonable, and reliability to the rules can lead to the absence of independent judgment. So, ibig sabihin lang yan, sometimes yung mga rational system like bureaucracies are also questionable. Kasi masyado siyang nakadepende sa rules and regulation. Paano na may independent judgment ng tao? How would it account the independent judgment of each people? Diba? So sometimes it can be, yung mga rational system natin, it can also be irrational. Kasi nga if we stick too much to the rules, we are not able to account already the individual judgment of each member of the organization. So those are the problems that we can face with bureaucratic organization. Now class, we are going to look at the modern organization today. Titingnan natin yung mga modern organization today and titingnan natin, class, yung modern organization in the light of tinatawag nating scientific management, which is proposed by Frederick Taylor. Before I go to scientific management, naintindihan po ba yung bureaucracy? Did you understand bureaucracy grade 12? Bago tayo mag-proceed, do you have questions?
Yes po, sir.
Maliwanag? Grade 12, is it clear? Okay.
Opo, sir.
May tanong ba about bureaucracy? Do you have questions, grade 12? Bago ako mag-proceed with scientific management. Okay, so I think wala nang tanong. So let's proceed to scientific management. Okay, itong scientific management, this is actually proposed by Frederick Taylor. So actually, this is developed class as a standard method class in developing the performance for each job. So technically, ang ginawa natin dito is we try to select workers with appropriate abilities for each job. We train these workers in a standard method. May standard method tayong ginamit to train these workers. Then we support workers by planning work and eliminating interruption, and we provided wage and incentive to workers for increased output. So technically, to make it simple, ito yung summary ng scientific management. Una, there is some kind of observation. Then nagkaroon tayo ng systematization of work. From observation, so ginawa ni Frederick Taylor, inobserve niya yung mechanics in the industry. Then afterwards, sinestematize niya yung work. So how did he systematize yung work? Tignan nyo to. So ito yung naging system ni Frederick Taylor. Una, mamimili ka ng mga workers with technical competence. So mag-hire ka based on technical competence, followed by the training of these workers. No, the training of these workers. After the training of the workers, yung mga trained workers would work on a standard method. So meaning nag-establish kayo, nag-systematize kayo ng system of work, no? You systematize the system of work. And inobserbahan natin class yung efficiency nung employee or nung trained worker na yun in doing the systematized process. And meaning, after your systematization of work, meron tayong refining of task. Pwede natin i-refine yung task at hand to achieve the maximum efficiency that we wanted from the industry. So yan yung scientific management na tinatawag. So technically, there is some kind of observation followed by the systematization of work and the observation again to refine the task at hand, to increase the efficiency in performing the task class na nakaset doon sa system. So technically, the iterative process is proven to increase this efficiency. So what are the contributions and the criticisms of this kind of management theory? So I think contribution niya, it demonstrated the importance of compensation for performance. Remember, sa dulo ng system, nagbibigay tayo ng rewards, no, for doing their work efficiently. So that's one of the contributions. So it's able to prove, no, yung importance ng reward system, no, in doing the task at hand. Second, it initiated the careful study of task and job. So mahalaga pala yung observation ng mga task and job and the systematization of the task and job itself. And of course, it demonstrated the importance of personnel training. So yun yung contribution ng scientific management natin. Now, what would be the criticism? So hindi niya in-appreciate or hindi niya in-account yung social context of work. So you will see later on na may mga social context pala tayo na hindi ma-apply yung scientific management. Also, hindi natin in-account yung differences between the individual, and also we tended to regard workers as uninformed and ignored their ideas. So this is an example of a hard HRM or a hard HRM or a hard human resource management kung saan we do not account the suggestion of this worker. So they are just there to do their task efficiently. So yun yung criticisms niya. Now the thing is, if you would observe the society today, most of them uses scientific management. No, according to George Ritzer, you would observe na in our society nagkakaroon na tayo ng tinatawag na McDonaldization, kung saan it's actually based on the principles of what? It's based on the principles of It's based on the principle of fast food restaurant, no? Kung saan it requires scientific management. So kung titingnan daw natin society ngayon, in our society laging nag-e-exist yung tinatawag nating scientific management. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na McDonaldization of society, kung saan the principles of fast food restaurant is applied class within the context of the society. Okay, how does this apply, no? How does this McDonaldization applied in our society? Sabi dito sa McDonaldization of our society by George Ritzer, everything or in some aspects of our society, efficient methods must be observed class to do tasks efficiently. So calculability and uniformity must be observed. And best example nun is nakikita sa school system. Di ba remember, in school system or in education, kailangan ng standardized testing to test technical competence. Kailangan ng highly controlled curriculum. There is a high control for curriculum to systematize, no? To systematize to systematize the delivery of the education itself to the learner. So technically, ang nangyayari, sinisystematize natin yung system so that magiging efficient yung task or yung pag-perform ng task in the educational system. And you will see there that ina-apply yung scientific management even in school. Nagkakaroon tayong tatawag na McDonaldization of our society. So in some aspect of our society, efficient methods class in doing tasks are even applied class in some aspects, no? And also meron tayong observation of calculability and uniformity na tinatawag. So yun nga, class, example nga natin is yung school natin, di ba? Yung mga school natin, like, yung school natin, class, it applies scientific management in a sense na meron tayong mga standardized tests, may highly controlled curriculum tayo. So meaning everything is systematized to do things efficiently as much as possible. So rationalization are usually found in all aspects of society where scientific management is applied. And di lang sa school, most organizations in our society class actually apply scientific management to do things as efficiently as possible, 'di ba? So tawag doon is the McDonaldization of the society. Pero plus the thing is the world is rapidly changing na, no? Kasi we are entering through a phase called globalization. And dahil nga nag-enter na tayo ng globalization, nagkakaroon tayo ng changes also in our organizational environments. Bago tayo mag-proceed class with the effect of organizational environment changes, no, may tanong about the McDonaldization of the society. Do you have questions about McDonaldization of society? Grade 12. May tanong po ba?
Sir, basta po ba parang ano po siya, fast-paced po siya? Yun po siya,
Hindi
sir.
siya fast-paced everything is systematized. Lahat ng bagay
Okay
is
po.
systematized. Kagaya sa school, di ba, you use systematized curricula. Sige nga, sino nagpe-prescribe ng curriculum mo? It's DepEd. And remember, in order to produce that curriculum, there are thousands of research done para lang ma-produce yung curriculum na yun. It's a systematized system. No, tapos meron kayong systematized testing. Bakit? Kasi you are testing of your technical competence. Tinitignan kung naging efficient ba yung delivery ng curriculum. So everything is being systematized in the society nowadays. And you can observe it not only in school but in almost all organization in the society. Pero of course, there are some kind of exemptions and we will discuss those kinds of exemptions in a few while. Nakuha, Joey? So it's just a systematization
Opo, sir.
of
Okay na
all
po.
activities in the society. So ma-observe niyo yan sa iba-ibang aspeto ng society, yung rationalization na tatawag natin. Or simply, this is called as the McDonaldization of the society as coined by George Ritzer. Okay, what else? May tanong? May tanong pa po ba? Nana po. What about the others? Do you have question? Wala na. Okay. So I think we should proceed na, no. Tulad nga ng sabi ko, the thing is, no, we are at a point kung saan nagbabago na yung organizational environment natin. So if you're going to look at organizational environment, it involves technology, population patterns, and political and economic trends. And the thing is, class, nagkakaroon tayo ng shift in organizational environment. And dahil nagkaka-shift tayo sa organizational environment natin, we would expect no, na nagkakaroon na rin tayo ng mga trends. No? We can observe trends in terms of organization. So one trends that we can observe is that nagkakaroon na tayo ng shift to a less sexist and to a less sexist and racist organization. So dati kasi medyo sexist at racist ang mga organization, but today in our society, kasi nga nagiging accepting na tayo of all race and all gender, nagkakaroon na tayo ng shifting no, to a less sexist and racist society. And because of that, some formal organizations class tends to have a problem kasi let us say no nagbigin sila with a more racist and a more sexist organization. So sometimes the rules and regulations class are not grounded to these changes in the organizational environment. So sometimes nagkakaroon sila ng problema, lalo na yung transition class would imply big changes within the organization itself. So another thing is that nagkakaroon na tayo ng post-industrial economy. So yung scientific management kasi, best siyang i-apply sa mga manufacturing jobs. But remember, today, class, ngayong post-industrial economy na tayo, we entered at the age of the post-industrial economy, hindi lahat ng trabaho ay manufacturing. Some of the works or some of the jobs today required information processing. Magre-require siya information processing. At yung scientific management, it cannot apply class, hindi siya pwedeng mag-apply doon sa mga job that requires information processing. Kasi remember that information processing requires creative thinking. At dahil gumagamit tayo ng creative thinking, we cannot just systematize the process of creative thinking. And meaning class, scientific management cannot be applied in this kind of jobs. So nangyayari class, dahil nga nagkakaroon na tayo ng development of new jobs today that requires creative thinking, we are not able to apply scientific management there. So technically, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga bagong trends na na-observe, no? Mga bagong trends na na-observe in our organizations or in our formal organization to the point na nabago na nila yung mga structure. Kasi kung titignan nyo sa scientific management, it would, or sa hard HRM na tatawag natin, in scientific management, magre-require siya sa hard HRM or hard human resource management, magre-require siya ng hierarchical organization, no, in order for you to apply scientific management. So applicable 'yon sa manufacturing job. So sa manufacturing job kasi, since it doesn't require creative thinking, nangyayari kailangan class may hierarchical organization class, may hierarchical structure or hierarchical organization yung company mo or yung organization mo in order to do tasks efficiently as possible kasi you will apply scientific management in those cases. But in the case of information processing jobs, yung mga information processing jobs, it's a different setup. Hindi siya magre-require ng mga organizational structure kasi kailangan dito collaborative, meron dapat creative freedom yung bawat member ng organization, may flexibility dapat sila, and because of that, there is a promotion of the flattening of the organizational hierarchy. Hindi na nagiging stovepipe yung organization. Kumbaga, leadership will be practiced amongst all member of organization. So nagkakaroon ng flattening of hierarchy. So this is another trends, no? This is another trends that we can observe. So dati, we would expect that in a formal organization, dahil nga more on manufacturing jobs dati, most of the organizations before, meron talaga silang structure, meron talaga silang hierarchical structure. And usually, dahil may hierarchical structure nga sila, they apply hard HRM na tinatawag or hard human resource management. And they can efficiently apply scientific management in those cases. But today, with the advent of this information processing job, dahil nga may mga development tayo ng bagong job that requires creative thinking, hindi pwede yung ganong klase ng organization, hindi pwedeng structured yung organization. So more likely dapat as much as possible all people can contribute, no? Can contribute kasi bawat individual member ng organization has creative freedom, may flexibility sila, and because of that nagfla-flatten yung organizational hierarchy natin. There's a flattening of organizational hierarchy since everybody is practicing leadership as much as possible. in order to do tasks properly. And meaning ito, we cannot just simply apply scientific management in these cases. Kasi we cannot just systematize this kind of work or the nature of the work in the information processing sectors. So that's another trend that we can observe in modern organization today. And of course, may changing nature ng job. Changing na yung nature ng job. And I think we could observe it kasi as far as we know today, medyo flexible na yung mga workplaces, flexible na yung mga work times, flexible na yung nature ng trabaho, the nature of the job itself, yung mga activities na ginagawa ng mga members ng organization. So technically, there is a changing nature of job. And because of this, you can also observe a changing pattern of organization as a result of this changing nature of job. So I think that's all we have to discuss about formal organization. So grade 12, do you have questions?